Thinking about the upcoming ice and snow season is not the most pleasant of all tasks. However, it sure beats waiting until that first winter storm hits. At least a month before the anticipated first snow, you should begin preparing all snow removal equipment for the winter season. Needless to say, you would have a better idea of how to mount equipment than either one of these rookies, even without training. In this video, you will learn how to mount snow removal equipment, the reversible plow, V-plow, light-duty wing, and heavy-duty wing. You will also learn the step-by-step approach to conducting a pre-season check of all equipment, including the ice blade and high-speed underbody plow. Making sure your equipment is in top condition before the snow and ice season begins can save you many hours of misery when bad weather arrives. To begin, let's first check out the plow truck. Our plan here is to do a detailed inspection of the entire truck, inside the cab, from front to back, and under the hood. There are different models of trucks in each garage, and the one you'll be checking may be different than the model you'll see in this video. However, the pre-season checklist is very similar for all trucks. It's a good idea to plan to do your inspection after the truck has sat inside the garage, at least overnight, because we'll be using the garage floor to help detect any oil and/or fluid leaks. Start your inspection with the tires. How do they look overall? Are there any deep cuts, or is there any severe weather checking? Next, closely check the tire tread condition. There should be a minimum of 4/32 or 1/8 of an inch of tread on each of the tires, both front and back. You'll also want to make certain the tires have enough pressure by checking them with a tire gauge. The tires should be inflated to the pressure indicated on the tire's sidewall for the appropriate weight of the vehicle. When checking the rear tires, use a flashlight so you can see the tire sidewalls between the duals. While you're checking the rubber, you'll also want to look closely at the wheels. Check to see if the wheel lugs are tight and if there is any indication that they have recently slipped. A bright mark to the side of each wheel lug is a good indication that the rim has spun. Some operators always center the valve stem between two lugs when mounting a wheel. Then, by just looking at the stem location, you can quickly identify a rim that has spun. If you note that the rim has moved, tighten the lugs. If this becomes a reoccurring problem, make certain you tell your shop mechanic about it. Also, check the axle bolts and make sure they are tight. And look for any indication of leaking around the wheel seals. If you see anything suspicious, mention it to the mechanic. That takes care of the tires and wheels. Now turn your attention to the hydraulic system. There are a number of hydraulic valves and hundreds of feet of hydraulic hoses on the plow truck. So take your time to check all that you can see. Check for oil leaks along each hose and around each fitting. On most trucks, you will want to raise the box to get a good look at many of the hoses and fittings. Once the box is raised, make sure to put the box stops in place. Then lower the box onto the stops before you start your inspection. Equipment vibration over time may make a hose shift from its original position. Hydraulic hoses should not be pinched, constricted, or rubbing against another surface. Point out any potential problems you see to your shop mechanic. Oil leaks can also be identified by checking the garage floor for spots where hydraulic fluid may have dripped. Hydraulic fluid is clear to amber or possibly red in color. Behind the truck cab, check the hydraulic oil level with the sight gauge on the oil reservoir tank. The tank holds approximately 30 gallons of oil. If the sight gauge indicates you need to add a large amount of oil, make certain you tell the mechanic about it. Lights are next on your checklist. Start with the amber warning lights mounted above the truck cab. These lights should be on at all times when the truck is operated with a snowplow or wing, because this equipment makes the truck over width. Make certain they work properly. Brake lights. Do they work when you depress the brake pedal? If there is no one else around to help you check, look for reflections on the garage door. Headlights. Turn them on and then get out of the cab to make certain both sets are working. the chassis headlights, and the higher plow lights. And don't forget to check both high and low beams. Turn signals. Check both the left and right turn signals. You cannot always trust the dash indicator arrow. So the only sure way to ensure your turn signals are working properly is to get out of the truck and check both the front and back signals for correct operation. Clearance lights. These mark the width of your truck for other drivers. Make sure those on the front of the cab are working as well as those at the front and rear corners of the dump box. Sander light or lights. Located on or underneath the back of the truck box, these light the spinner so you can see the material being spread. Light-duty wing lights. Mounted behind the cab, they provide light on the wing. Heavy-duty wing lights. Located high on the wing frame, they shine down so you can see the wing at night. Strobe light. Located at the back of the dump box, the strobe light helps make certain drivers can see the truck in poor visibility conditions. Lastly, check to see that all reflectors are in place, amber to the front and red to the rear on all four corners of the truck body. Inside the cab, check the engine air restriction indicator on the dash. The expanding yellow area indicates that air to the engine is being restricted by a dirty air filter. Filters should be changed before the yellow reaches the red danger mark. Check all other gauges and controls in the cab for proper operation. Now it's time to get under the hood to make sure the engine is ready to meet the rigors of the upcoming snow removal season. Fuel filters should always be changed at the beginning of the season. Also, check for water in the fuel-water separator. Drain any water that is visible. At the same time, look for any fuel leaks. Check for evidence of leaking fuel along the fuel line and on the garage floor. You can, of course, identify fuel by its smell. While we are on the subject of fuel, you should know that the fuel you use during the winter months may be a winter blend, which could be a 50-50, 60-40, or 70-30 blend. The first number represents the percentage of number 1 diesel fuel, and the second number the percentage of number 2 diesel fuel in the blend. If you purchase your fuel locally, the retailer may or may not know the specific blend that is being sold. The addition of the number 1 diesel fuel lowers the point at which the fuel will gel and clog the engine's filters in freezing temperatures. Number 2 diesel provides better lubrication and more power than number 1 diesel. In addition, a pour depressant may be added to either blended or unblended fuel to keep the diesel fuel flowing and reduce the potential of engine problems in cold temperatures. Your supervisor will give you guidance on what fuels are available and the conditions when a pour depressant additive is recommended. Engine oil is next on your pre-season checklist. First, check the oil level with the dipstick. Add oil only if it is below the add mark. Avoid overfilling. Whenever you have the dipstick out, check the color of the oil. Make certain it is not a chocolate milky color, which could indicate antifreeze is getting into the oil. Also, smell the oil and check for a burnt smell, an indication of engine overheating. Also, look around the engine for an indication of any major oil leaks. Small amounts of oil in and around an engine are, of course, normal. Also, look on the floor and under the engine for signs of leaking oil. Engine oil is normally black. The engine coolant system is next on our checklist. Check the radiator coolant level and add the required amount. If an unusually large amount of coolant is required, make sure to tell your shop mechanic. Next, check for coolant leaks, especially around hose connections. Also, look for wet spots on the radiator as well as on the garage floor. Engine coolant is blue, yellow, or green. While you're checking the radiator, also make certain there isn't any serious damage to the radiator fins. Inspect the fan belts for frays and cracks. If you find any fraying or cracking of the belts, point out the problem areas to the shop mechanic. If the truck has a manual transmission, you'll have to get under the truck and take out the transmission plug. The fluid level should be level with the check or fill plug. Also, check the garage floor for any transmission fluid leaks. Automatic transmission fluid is red or brown. Manual transmission oil tends to be a dark brown. If the truck you are checking has an automatic transmission, while the hood is still up, check the transmission fluid level with the dipstick. Add transmission fluid if it is below the add level. Never fill beyond the full mark. We're now on the home stretch of your truck pre-season inspection. Take a look inside the truck toolbox. Check first for tire cables or chains. Pull them out and make sure they are in good condition. It is also a good idea to mount them, just to be sure they fit. Also, make certain the toolbox contains towing chains, extra plow and wing pins, extra pin safety clips, and the tools you think you may need out on the road. Check too that you have a hand shovel, which can be in many places, but usually is attached or in a holder behind the cab or on the dump box. Now, check one last time inside the truck cab. Make sure the cab is clean and there are no loose items like pop cans, bottles, or log chains in the cab. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher that is properly mounted and fully charged, an ice scraper, a whisk broom, or snow brush for cleaning snow off your lights, and a flashlight. Also on your checklist should be a first aid kit. Check the contents of the kit and replace any missing or damaged items. Also make sure that a CPR mask is with or near your first aid kit. And the emergency reflector kit. Climb back into the cab and try the safety belts, making sure the lock works. Check the two-way radio and make certain the display or power light comes on. Check the dash lights and all of the gauges to make certain they are all working. Also, while you are in the cab, check and make sure you have accident report forms. Look over the windshield and make sure it doesn't have serious pits, scratches, or cracks. Report any problems to the shop mechanic. And lastly, check the wiper blades. Tell the mechanic if you feel they need to be replaced. Also, make sure the wipers are working properly. Your truck has numerous mounting brackets or supports that are bolted to your truck to support the snow removal equipment. Check all of these brackets to make sure they are secure and that all bolts are in place and tight. One last thing to thoroughly check is your heating and defrosting system. Back your truck out of the garage and turn on your heater with the engine running. Let the engine heat up and then make sure all fan speeds are operational and the heat produced by your heater and defroster are adequate. With this thorough inspection completed, your truck should be in shape to meet the rigors of the winter season. Now, let's get it equipped to move snow. We'll start by mounting the reversible snow plow, the most commonly used plow. When mounting the reversible plow, it is preferable that there be two people present, one person to drive the truck and the second to guide the truck driver into position. Each plow is fitted for a specific truck. Many shops stencil the truck number on the plow so you can quickly identify the correct plow for your truck. When mounting a reversible plow, first raise the plow with a chain hoist. Some shops use floor jacks. Others have jacks permanently attached to raise the plow. Even with the plow raised to the proper height, a pinch bar is helpful in moving the plow slightly to line up mounting holes so plow pins can be inserted. Make sure you also insert the safety or retainer clips at the end of each pin. Next, hook the cable pulley to the lift cylinder and insert the lift pin and safety clip. Finally, you are ready to hook up the hydraulics. But before you do, make sure to shut off the truck engine. Hydraulic power comes from oil forced through the lines at tremendous pressure. To hook up the hydraulics, simply switch the female coupling from the truck to the plow and the plow coupling to the truck. With the plow mounted and resting on the ground, you are now ready to begin your pre-season check. Remember to never move in or around a plow when it is raised. If the hydraulics fail, a raised plow would drop and you could be seriously hurt. Take a close look at the plow lift. Make sure that there is enough slack in the lift cable or chain so the blade completely touches the garage floor and will be able to come into contact with the roadway. Inspect the lift cable or chain. Look for cuts or frays in the cable, or for badly worn or broken links in the chain. Look over the entire plow for any cracks or broken welds. If you find any, point them out to your shop mechanic. Both the lift and reverse cylinders should also be checked to see that they are operating correctly, and all hydraulic fittings are tight and free from leaking. Check the condition of the hydraulic hoses too. Look for cuts or serious abrasions that may weaken the hose and lead to leaks. Again, never check the hydraulic hoses when the truck engine is running. If there is a small hole in a line and the engine is running, the stream of fluid can shoot so hard it can slice your skin like a knife. Next, check for proper plow trip adjustment. A faulty or improperly adjusted trip can cause a lot of damage to the plow and truck if an immovable object is hit. Check the plow blade to make sure it is not cracked or excessively worn. Some plow blades have a carbide insert in the bottom to help resist wear. If the carbide insert is visible, the carbide is still doing its job to slow the wear on the blade. If the carbide is nearly worn through, either replace the blade or be aware that the blade will wear much more quickly without the carbide. The blade should be replaced when there is approximately 2 inches remaining between the bottom of the moldboard and the bottom of the blade. Never wear the blade down to the point that the moldboard is on the roadway surface. This could result in an expensive moldboard repair or replacement. Also, make certain the plow blade is tightly attached by checking the tightness of all nuts. Also, replace any missing or broken bolts. When replacing bolts, always make sure the bolt is fully seated so the nut remains tight. Grease all zerks. Make sure reflectors are in place and in good condition on each end of the plow. Amber reflectors on front, red reflectors on the back. At the same time you are checking reflectors, make sure there is a red-orange flag in good condition and properly mounted at each end of the plow. If the plow has a plow shield, check to see that it is securely mounted. Finally, check the plow controls to make sure that they are all functioning properly. Raise the plow to its full height. It should be high enough to clear obstacles you may encounter. The plow lift height can be adjusted by lengthening or shortening the lift cable or chain. When mounting the V-plow, it is advisable to have at least 2 and preferably 3 people. One driving the vehicle the V-plow is to be mounted on, either truck or motor grader, and one person on each side of the plow. The driver must always pay close attention to the location of the people who are helping in the hookup. First, check and make certain the truck number matches the number stenciled on the plow. If there is not a number on the plow, it is a good idea to stencil the truck number on the plow. This makes it much easier to locate the plow fitted to your truck. The V-plow rides on 3 shoes, one centered at the nose and one at each heel. When the V-plow is being operated, the shoes ride on the highway surface and keep the plow blades at least 1 inch above the surface. Because they are always in contact with the highway, the shoes tend to wear out quickly. Check them closely and replace them before the metal is worn away. Now you are ready to mount the plow. Slowly move the truck forward, lining up the truck mounting frame with the 2 bottom push arms of the plow. Attach the arms by inserting a pin in each arm and a safety clip in each pin. Next, hook up the 2 top plow arms by inserting the pins and safety clips. If these arms do not line up, it may be necessary to first hook the cable or chain to the lift cylinder by inserting the pin and safety clip. Then lift the plow until the top push arms are lined up and the pins can be inserted. Now that you have the V-plow attached, check the blade for signs of wear and the blade bolts to make sure they are tight. The V-plow is much taller than your other equipment. check to make sure the lights are mounted high enough on your truck to shine over the mounted V-plow. Make sure all reflectors and flags are in good condition. A torn or badly faded flag should be replaced. If in doubt about the correct location of the flags and reflectors, refer to the lighting manual that is located in your shop. In many shops, light-duty wings are stored on wing stands so they can easily be moved. As with most snow removal equipment, the particular style or model may vary from shop to shop, and mounting instructions may vary also. A typical mounting operation is seen here, using 2 people and an overhead chain hoist. Before you mount the wing, slide the wing ram out and in to make sure there are no bends or obstructions to keep it from moving freely. Move the wing into position so the mounting shaft or stinger is lined up with the hole in the slide mounting plate. Push the shaft into the hole until you are able to flip the locking mechanism into place. Then tighten the locking mechanism. Next, hook up the wing arm by putting the bolt and safety clip in place. Some light-duty wings have a hydraulic cylinder to tilt the mold board. If the wing you are mounting is like this, you then need to also hook up the hydraulic hose. You are now ready to conduct your full pre-season check. Move the blade out and in, then down and up to make sure it is operating properly. Check the blade and also the skid, if there is one. Is there plenty of metal remaining on the blade and on the skid? If not, they should be replaced. Also, check the tightness of the blade bolts and the skid bolts. Check the hydraulic hoses and make certain they are in good shape. Also, check for hydraulic oil leaks around connections and around hydraulic cylinders. Look over the wing and mounting for any cracks or breaks in welded joints. Check that there is a red reflector on the back of the wing and a red-orange flag in good condition and properly mounted at the end of the wing. As with the light-duty wing, it is recommended that at least 2 people be available to mount a heavy-duty wing. However, it is best with 3 people. If the heavy-duty wing in your shop is stored on a wing stand, roll it up to the side of the truck. If the wing is not on a stand, it can be moved into place with a loader or chain hoist. It is easier if the front end of the wing is hooked up first. You do this by lining up the wing with the front post and inserting the front pin and safety clip. The next step is hooking up the wing arms to the rear post. First, the bottom arm, then the top arm. With one operator in the cab, lower the lift cable and attach the cable to the end of the wing. Make sure to insert a safety clip. With the heavy-duty wing now attached, you should go through your full pre-season checklist. First, check the large bolt at the toe. It is critical that this bolt be checked routinely. If this bolt should come out, a tremendous amount of damage could be caused to the wing and the truck. As with all snow removal equipment, check all welded joints for cracks or breaks. Look over the wing arms to make sure they are not bent or cracked. Inspect the spring or springs to make sure they are in good working order. Check the blade for wear, looking again for any remaining carbide insert. Replace the blade if it extends 2 inches or less beyond the mold board. Some shops use a blade on the inner portion of the wing and a skid blade on the outer end to ride on the shoulder of the road. If your shop uses the skid blade, check to make sure there is plenty of metal remaining on the skid. If not, the skid blade should be replaced. Also, check the tightness of the blade and/or skid bolts. Note that the front corner of the wing blade has been rounded, as it should be on both light and heavy-duty wings. This reduces chances of the wing digging into the shoulder of the road. If it has not been rounded, it should be cut with a torch. Check the hydraulic hoses and make certain that they are in good shape. Also, check for hydraulic oil leaks around connections and around hydraulic cylinders. Pulleys should be checked for signs of wear, and cables should be checked for signs of fraying. If these show signs of wear, they should be replaced. Both of the front and rear posts on the heavy-duty wing should be kept clean and free of dirt and grime. Use spray graphite to lubricate. The use of grease is not recommended because it tends to hold foreign material that can cause excessive wear to the slide. Always make certain the 2 shear pins are in place. These must always be of a soft metal so they will break if the wing should hit a solid object. Never replace them with a tempered metal pin, and never chain the trip. Now raise the wing, both up and in, to make sure it operates properly. Ice blades are normally not removed during the off-season, so you most likely will not have to mount the ice blade. However, it should be closely inspected to make certain it is ready for the winter season. First, check all hydraulic components for evidence of oil leaks. Then look closely at the hoses for weathered or damaged spots. Look over all of the welds on the frame and moldboard assembly for any cracks. The ice blade is under a great deal of force when it is operated, and stress cracks can easily appear. Also, the pivot points on the blade should be greased. Look for wear on the blade because they can wear very rapidly in certain conditions. If you are unsure whether your blade needs replacement, ask an experienced operator for assistance. There is no standard way of changing these blades, although it is best achieved by using 2 people, 1 on each end of the blade. Remove the nuts on all of the blade bolts. Then pry off the old blade and remove it. Move the new blade into place. Some shops have devised jacks or dollies to help in mounting blades. After lifting the blade into place, these operators are using a punch to locate bolt holes. With the first 2 bolts in place at each end of the blade and the nuts finger tightened, then begin installing the remaining bolts. Make sure each bolt is fully seated and then use an air wrench for final tightening. There are 3 types of ice blades, and each has its advantages and disadvantages. This thin ice blade tends to wear out quickly. However, the benefit of this blade is that there is less blade surface in contact with the highway, which allows you, as the operator, to keep a very sharp edge to the blades. Hardened blades like this will last much longer than thin blades, but they are about 3 times thicker. With more surface on the highway, you will have to curl and uncurl the blade more often to find the best cutting angle. A third type of blade is the serrated blade, consisting of notches along the entire length of the blade. The number of serrations in the blade can vary, as you can see in these 2 blades. As you would expect, this blade cuts grooves in the ice or packed snow, and these grooves allow chemicals to move more quickly to the road surface to begin the melting action. When using a serrated blade, you must be very careful because this blade can not only cut grooves in the ice, but into road surfaces, especially asphalt. Your supervisor will tell you which type of blade to use. Like the ice blade, the high-speed underbody plow normally remains mounted on the truck year-round, but it too should be readied for the snow season. Check hydraulics for condition of the hoses and for any oil leaks. Make certain that there are not any cracked welds. The high-speed underbody plow has a number of grease points, so make certain each is well greased. And finally, check the blade. Make sure there is plenty of carbide remaining. If it is not a carbide blade, there should be at least 2 inches of blade extending beyond the moldboard. Now that you understand how to prepare and mount snow removal equipment, you are now ready for the next step, learning about the regular equipment checks you need to make, along with radio procedures and protocol, and ideas on the best clothing to wear when you are out plowing snow. To find out, go to video number 3 entitled Equipment Operation.